Hello everybody, welcome to the channel and thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm going to be crafting with Papercraft Society box 22. This is by Ruth Mackie McCartan and this is the current box which I did an unboxing for a couple of weeks ago. If you haven't seen that, I will link it in the description box of the video so you can have a little look. If you don't have this box, not to worry, you can use whatever you have if you're wanting to craft along or do the techniques that I'm going to be featuring today. And if you don't have these boxes and you would like to sign up to them, I'll leave my sign up code in the description box of the video. And then if you do choose to use it, both yourself and I will save some money off of one box each. So I'm going to make 2 cards today. I'm going to try to stick to the contents of this box and previous boxes as much as I can, but I think in today's video it's going to be unavoidable to use some things from my stash, but that's just because I already kind of know what's coming, so bear with me, but I'm sure you will have things that you can substitute in if you don't have exactly the same things as me, but the core products, should we say, that I'm using will be from this box and some previous boxes. For the first card we're going to be using a pre-folded 5x7 card blank and this really pretty piece of DSP that came in the kit. The first thing I'm going to do is cut the DSP down to 5x7 so it exactly fits over the card blank. And then I'm going to take my tacky glue and I'm going to adhere that straight onto the front of the card. I'm not leaving any borders, I'm not doing mats and layers, I'm just going straight onto the card blank with the DSP. The next thing I'm going to do is grab the die cuts that came with the kit and the stamp set, and I'm going to be using this die cut here with the sunflower in the corner, and I'm going to stamp "Sending You" directly onto the die cut and put it at the top there, and then I'm going to take a smile and stamp it directly onto the card base. So I'm just going to punch that out of the sheet. I'm also going to be using my stamp platform to do this, and to stamp onto the die cut part I'm going to be using my Stays On ink. Now I did have to prime this stamp. I found that it wasn't coming up and sticking onto my stamp platform, so what I did was I used a pink, it's quite rough, I'll show you in a second, but a craft friend sent it to me and it is for priming up stamps. There's numerous things you can use to prime a stamp, but just sometimes to make them cling and to make them stamp nicer you have to take off some of the stick and some of the film from the factory. So that's what I had to do with this particular one. Here's the pink thing that I used to prime it. It looks like a piece of packaging. I don't think it is, but as I say, a friend actually sent it to me a little while ago, so I couldn't tell you for sure. So I'm just stamping over with the stamp platform lid. I just decided to use a stamp platform to make sure I got a great impression. Plus I'm using Stays On ink and I didn't want it smudging on a block. So I'm going to have to leave that to dry for a little bit because Stays On does take a little bit of time to dry. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to bring the card base in and I'm going to stamp the "A Smile" part of the sentiment. Now interestingly, this one I didn't have to prime, it was fine. And to stamp this sentiment I'm going to be using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. This is an ink that I found through Natasha Foote. I think I'd heard of it before, but it wasn't until I started watching her videos I realised how fantastic it was. I did get a little bit on the lid there, which I realised just before I pulled the lid down, so I wiped it off because I didn't want to contaminate my cardstock. And I'm stamping it just under the butterfly, but just over that flower. So I'm just making sure I get a really good impression. And apologies for the shadows that come and go throughout the video. It was kind of unavoidable. I do film in front of a window for the best light, but there's a slight ridge. I did have my ring light on, but it didn't seem to take much effect. Now I thought the card needed something else as well, so I'm using these butterflies. These were sent to me for my birthday by Roz, but I'm sure everyone has butterflies in their stash somewhere, so I figured butterflies were a fairly safe bet to use. I really liked the colour of these butterflies with the card DSP that I've used. I thought they really matched well. I did only use 3. I used a purple one, a red kind of coloured one, and then there was a yellowy orange one that matched the sunflowers perfectly, so I decided to use that one as well. So you can see I'm just sticking them down here, and obviously there is 2 little butterflies on the DSP as well, so technically we have 5 butterflies, just 3 are slightly raised. I am going to use some foam pads. They're very thin ones, but I'm using these to prop up the sentiment, and I'm going to leave that little circle punch out part intact because I'm actually going to put something over the top of that in a second. Now I am going to finish this off using Pink Orchid. It is a crystal drop by Nuvo. I absolutely love this colour, and all I did was I literally just did a couple of little dots behind each butterfly. Some were straight, some were curved. Then I added one larger dot to the sentiment, and then I did the little paper butterflies as well that were on the DSP, and I think it looks super cute. I'm really pleased with how this came out. Now I'm just banging the back there. I saw Anne Melvin do it, and she said it gets rid of the little peaks that can form and just help keep your Nuvo dots rounded. So that is now a practice I try and do every time. On to the second card now. Again, I'm using a 5x7 card blank. This is another pre-folded one. And this time I'm going to be using this sunflower stamp that came in the kit, as well as the 2 leaves that came on the stamp pad. Now I want to do some watercolouring, so I grabbed my Daisy May kit that came out about this time last year because I know this had watercolour card in it. A lot of the kits have come with watercolour card, but I couldn't remember exactly which ones it was, but I knew this one did, and I knew I hadn't used it all. Hence I've grabbed this particular kit, and I'm trying to only use as much from the kits as I can without dipping into my own stash. So we're going to grab that there, and then I'm going to cut this down to 5 by 3.5. I'm using my VersaFine again, and I'm going to position the sunflower stamp kind of in the middle of the cardstock, but it does need to be at the bottom of the watercolour cardstock. And then I'm going to use my VersaFine ink even to stamp that down. Apologies for the shaking there. Now I actually missed a step when I was doing this, so I do come back to that in a few minutes, but I left it in, the fact that I'd missed a step, because I thought actually if somebody missed a step it might be helpful to know that actually you can fix it and go back. So we also need to create a mask. So I'm using post-its. I do have masking papers, you know, the special ones you can buy from Sticks To and that. I just, for smaller things like this, I prefer a post-it. So again, I'm using my VersaFine to stamp my mask. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fussy cut the mask. So I'm going to be using my brand new Tim Holtz snips. I was so excited to use these. And then, as if by magic, it's done, and I can put it straight back over the top of my sunflower there. Okay, this is where I missed a step by accident, but I do clean my stamp off. I grabbed the leaves from the kit and stamp them over the top of the sunflower. The next thing I'm going to do is bring in my Papercraft Society embossing pad. Again, I cannot remember which box this came with, but it was one last year, and I'm going to use that pad on the leaves. I did clean them off in between the ink and the embossing ink, and you can see there I'm just pushing it down on the leaves. Now with the Papercraft Society we haven't yet had clear embossing powder. We've had, I think, gold and silver, so I am going to have to use my own embossing powder to do this next step. But as long as you're using a clear powder, you're fine. So here you go, I'm just going to really quickly do some embossing. I will speed it up in a second because I'm sure you don't need to sit and watch the whole thing in real time. But we're just going to emboss these leaves because when I'm watercolouring, I just find that having the image embossed helps to stop bleed, and it stops the colours merging together. So here we go. Really fast embossing, but you can still see the effect. I left it in because it's quite cool to watch. I love watching people emboss. Okay, back in, because what I should have done before I even went anywhere near the leaves, I should have embossed the sunflower. So I'm just showing that actually, because of the stamp, you can go back, you can line it up exactly, you can emboss it. It doesn't matter if you forget that stamp. Technically, I could have used just the Versamark ink. Sorry, the VersaFine ink, because you can emboss using that ink. But yeah, I decided to use some Papercraft Society stuff as well. So next is the watercolouring. Again, I've put it on high speed, but I find it really relaxing to watch people colouring. So I left it in. These watercolours belonged to my godmother. I brought them back from Scotland in, was it June we were there? And yeah, I really like using them in my crafting. I think she would have really approved. I couldn't find all the colours I wanted in this little set. There are 3 or 4 other sets, but they were at the back of the room and I just could not be bothered to move, so I decided to mix up an orange, which you can see I'm doing here, and I also mixed a green for the leaves of the sunflower. I'm not a colourist, I'll be honest, but I'm fairly happy with how it turned out. Really quickly, I just want to say, if you're not already a subscriber to the channel, please do consider subscribing. I don't just do Papercraft Society videos, I do haul videos, I do technique videos. I've just done a Christmas in July mini series. I do a lot of different things, so I would really love it if you would subscribe to my channel. It's been growing recently and I'm so thrilled. So please, if you're not already subscribed, please do consider subscribing. Hit the thumbs up and ring the bell for notifications of when I upload a new video. So I'm nearly done here. Really, I should have left this to dry a bit better before I moved on, but I was on a bit of a time scale and time restrictions, so I just had to push on and get this done. So there you go. There is the finished watercoloured image. The next thing we're going to do, grab a ruler and literally just eyeball it, which is really odd for me to say because I'm normally really precise and I like my measurements, but honestly, just eyeball this bit and you just draw a line from your image up to the side there, and then you're going to do exactly the same on the other side. Now you could measure across first and mark the page so your lines are exact and line up, but honestly, eyeballing it is fine. Now this technique I actually saw Natasha Foot do on her channel maybe a month ago, and I knew I really wanted to try it, and as soon as this box came I was like, yes, that is exactly what I can use that stamp for. I was so excited to see this stamp set. The next thing we're going to do, now I am working on a self-healing mat, so if you're not working on a self-healing mat, maybe put something under your work to protect your surface. But we're just going to grab a craft knife. You could use scissors, but I like the exactness that this craft knife gives me, and I'm using my Dove craft ruler with the metal edge, and we're just literally going to cut along that line really carefully. So here you go, straight along the line, and we're done. And then it looks like this, so do exactly the same on the other side. Just speed it up so you don't have to watch that slowly. and it should look like this. Now we're going to fussy cut the bottom section underneath these lines. So I'm just cutting away some of the bulk first, and now I'm going to high speed the video but show you that I'm fussy cutting the bottom of the image. This looks so effective when it's done. I was super pleased with this card. So there you go, fussy cut. I'm loving these new snips. They cut like a knife through butter. Oh my word, I'm obsessed. So this paper came with the kit. It's the pale yellow card stock from the kit, and I cut it down to exactly 5 by 7 inches. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to the card's base, again using my tacky glue. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the watercolor cardstock with the image on, and I'm going to be placing that on the top like so, and I'm going to put that up on foam pads. Now in a second there was a bit of a camera malfunction, and I just didn't realise straight away, so you're going to miss out a whole step, but I'll talk you through what I had done. This is actually mountain tape that I'm using. I got it from Printable Heaven. I quite like it. It's cheap, it does the job, it's not too thick. I actually finished the roll up there and had to grab a new one, but yeah, any like foam pad type tape will absolutely do you fine for this technique. So here you go. Now this is kind of coming up to where I had the camera malfunction, so I decided there was too much open space, so I used the In a World Full of Roses Be a Sunflower sentiment stamp and stamped that in the bottom corner. I'd also used the die cut of the sunflowers. I punched it out, stuck it to that bottom corner, and then trimmed off the excess. Yeah, I don't know why my camera lost all the footage. And then I'm just going to add some Nouveau drops. This is in Dandelion Yellow. I thought it matched the cardstock so well. I've potentially gone a little bit too crazy with the Nouveau drops. I'm not sure I like it as much now, but you get the general idea. I really like the style with the off the edge look. If I did it again, I think I'd make this bit a bit bigger so that we haven't got so much expanse of open space here, but I like how it turned out overall. As I say, I wish I hadn't maybe used so many Nouveau drops. It's just so easy to get carried away with them, really, isn't it? So that is 2 cards using Papercraft Society box number 22. The next box has been slightly delayed. It's not due to come out for another couple of weeks. But when I get it, obviously I'll put an unboxing up, and then we will have another craft along style video using that one. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful, and maybe you'll give a couple of these a go. Thank you though very much for watching today. I hope you're all happy, safe and well. Let me know in comments what you think of these cards, and also if you could choose any item to go into a Papercraft Society box, what would you choose? I think at the moment I would say a pretty washi. We haven't had a washi tape yet, or maybe some glue, a nice new glue. They've not put glue in the boxes before. I don't know whether that is because of postage, like maybe you have to be careful about sending glues and stuff in the post. I don't know, but it would be fun to try a new glue. I know Craft Stash do have their own range of glues and things, so I suppose it's possible at some point we might get a glue. But let me know what you would choose in the comments below. Which one of these 2 cards is your favourite, and do you think I went a bit too crazy with the Nouveau drops on the sunflower card over here? Because the more I look at it, the more I think I should have stopped long before I did. I will be back soon with more videos, and until then, take care and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.